So a very warm welcome on behalf of the Global Deal. I see we have people connecting. So good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are to everyone. Very good to see so much interest in our webinar today. So for those of you who do not know us, so the Global Deal is a multi-stakeholder partnership for the promotion of social dialogue to foster decent work and inclusive growth. And we are a joint ILO OECD initiative, and we're bringing together governments, workers and employers organizations, and also businesses, international and civil society organizations. And in this context, we recognize the importance of social dialogue to conduct due diligence, and more specifically to prevent human and labor rights abuses, assess risks, implement policies, and address impacts. We've held a focus group on human rights due diligence that took place in 2022 and 2023. And as an outcome of this Global Deal focus group, a tool was developed highlighting the key role of social dialogue in due diligence procedures. So we will post a link to this tool in the chat so you can access it. So today we will be talking about developments in Indonesia. And more specifically, we will hear from partners on the ground, how they're contributing to the protection of women workers in the export garment industry. In Indonesia, it's estimated that the export garment industry is employing around 5 million workers, with the majority being women, 80% are estimated to be women. And women are still facing much greater risks regarding mental and physical safety. And in this context, we've seen that it's key for businesses to conduct due diligence to prevent human and labor rights abuses, and again, to assess risks, implement policies, and address impacts. So again, social partners play a key role in this context, and to more specifically better protect women workers in the workplace. The Global Deal, we already published a good practice on recent developments in Indonesia. So you can check out our flagship report from last year, the 2024 flagship report, which contains a thematic chapter on OSH, on occupational safety and health, with one good practice from Indonesia. And so today we want to go further into detail, and we're very honored to host a panel of 5 speakers who happen to be all women. So we have a women-only panel today. And yeah, and each of our panelists will talk about how she has contributed to the protection of women workers in the past years. So let me start by introducing our speakers. So today we have with us, so we have Sonia Ermina, who is a senior labor inspector at the Directorate of Labor Norms at the Ministry of Manpower in Indonesia. So Sonia has been working for the Ministry of Manpower in Indonesia for more than 15 years, and including more than 7 years as a labor inspector, focusing on the protection of women. She also worked in the Center for Administration of International Cooperation and was the head of the subdivision of International Organization Corporation, and more specifically focusing on collaboration with the ILO, the International Labour Organization. And she holds a master's degree in human resource management and a bachelor's degree in English. So a very warm welcome to Sonia. Next, we have Shelley Woyla, who is a training team and gender focal point leader at the Better Work Indonesia program. So Shali has been working with Better Work Indonesia for 10 years and serving as the training team leader. She's a key contributor to the training program at Better Work Indonesia, and with a particular focus on gender. And one of her key activities is the Respectful Workplace program, and she's one of the training facilitators. And next we have Intan Indra Dewi, who's the chairperson of the National Trade Union Federation, SPN, in Banten province. And Intan started her career as an expatriate assistant at Nike and is currently in charge of quality control at Nike IY 13 division. And she has been a very active member of the National Trade Union Federation. In 2014, she started as the vice secretary of SPN Banten province, and since 2019, she's been the chairperson of SPN Banten province. And she was also the chairperson of the UNIBA Postgraduate Student Association and is the secretary of the Youth Working Group Southeast Asia at Industry All. And she holds a bachelor and master's degree in management. So next, from the employer side, from the Indonesian Employers Association, from Apindo, we have Mira Hanartani. And Mira is currently the head of the Labor Regulations Committee at Apindo, where she works on shaping and discussing labor regulations in Indonesia. And Mira has a long and distinguished career at the Ministry of Manpower, where she previously worked, and she held various senior positions, including she was acting as the Director General of Industrial Relations and Workers' Social Security and Director General of Domestic Placement. She's been a strong advocate for inclusivity in the workplace and played a key role in developing guidelines for equality and inclusivity. And last but not least, we have Astri. So from the Fair Wear Foundation in Indonesia, Astri Suryandari. And Astri is a project coordinator focusing on designing, managing, and reporting on the implementation of fair wear and labor rights. And she's been working on advocating for education and labor rights for many years, since 2004, working for NGOs, research centers, government bodies, and also United Nations agencies. So we are very happy to have them among us today. And so I will be your moderator for this session. So my name is Isabel Konisch, and I'm a policy analyst at the Global Deal. So yeah, now first of all, let me turn to you, Sonia, to Sonia Ermina, so from the Ministry of Manpower in Indonesia. So we've seen that in 2022, the Sexual Harassment Act was adopted, and this was followed by a decree in 2023 on guidelines for the prevention of and response to sexual harassment, issued by the Minister of Manpower. And we would like to ask you to explain a bit more what the guidelines foresee to prevent, but also to monitor and to respond to sexual harassment cases. And can you maybe tell us a bit more what the Ministry of Manpower is doing to support factories to address sexual harassment, and also to tell us maybe a bit more about the recent bipartite sexual harassment task forces. So the floor is yours, Sonia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Isabel. Good morning for all participants, and good evening for all participants in Asia, particularly in Indonesia. So this morning, on this occasion, I would like to explain a bit concerning the government decree number 88 2023. as we know that there is a six issue equality in gender for women workers. Is like women particularly imposed with working condition, taking greater risk of mental and physical safety, and the wage gap and career inequality, lack of female representation, violence and harassment and discrimination. Why government of Indonesia established this decree is to answer the establishment of the Act number 12 of 22 concerning crime code of sexual harassment. Therefore, the Ministry of Manpower established the guidance to prevent the violence and sexual harassment at workplace. So the background of the establishment of the ministry decree is that cases and victims of sexual abuse have increased in the last 3 years, and the number of cases and victims are so relatively high. While harassment in the workplace occurs, most of cases are not reported for reason the victim feels ashamed, helpless, and afraid of losing their job. The employer covers, and the other reason that the employers usually cover up the case from the organization for the organization image. So for the impact is create an uncomfortable working situation. For that issue, for that all individual has the right. The government think that all individual has the right to be protected from violence and free from abusement or degradation of their inherent human dignity. That's our best regulation. Why we support these issues. So the secondly is sexual harassment stand in stark opposition to the principle of both dignity and humanity, thereby undermining the security and tranquility of the community. And the other hand, the other reason why we established this regulation that to ensure the fundamental human right to work and to live in an area of peace, security and dignity, as well as the right to social protection and free from fear. And that's why we regulate in Act number 13, 2003 concerning manpower that to ensure workers' rights, namely like oath, morality and ethic, appropriate treatment in accordance with human dignity and religious value. For the guideline is the objective for the guideline is for prevention and response of sexual harassment in the workplace. It provides guidance on effort to prevent, manage and protect against all forms of sexual harassment at workplace. Secondly is achieving a conducive, harmonized, safe and comfortable work environment and free from sexual violence in the workplace. And the rest is to promote stable workplace relation, workers' engagement, health, productivity, quality of public and private services, and corporate reputation. The scope of this regulation are the company handled the sexual harassment in the workplace, including the type, perpetrator, victim, scope, and sexual harassment in the workplace. The second, For how to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace is including the rules of parties and prevention effort, and how to offer complaint, and what the company should do to respond this issue, and how to recover the victim, including their right as workers. There's a note that the roles of labor inspector is to ensure the right of the victim or the workers who have experiences in violence and harassment, to ensure their right in area of workers, such as wages and leave and something like that. And the fourth is the role and the responsibility of a stakeholder or task force, of the function of an obligation. The role, responsibility, and function and obligation of task force is in company and the workers. From what we learn, prevention is the most effective tools to combat sexual harassment in the workplace. This can be achieved in parties are involved. It's not only government roles or the company's roles or only the workers' roles, but we have to work together to prevent this issue when it happened in the company. That's why this regulation is to ensure the company to establish the task force to prevent the violence and harassment at workplace. Second is how to respond to violence and harassment in the workplace, and the third is how people or how the member of the task force can establish the mechanism and mechanism to make to make some achieving a work environment conducive, harmonious, safe, and comfortable work environment and free from sexual violence and harassment at workplace. So this is the strong commitment to implement the policy concerning the prohibition the sexual harassment in the workplace. And the others is for the scope of this regulation is the one is how to issues related with the sexual harassment in the workplace, including the types and of sexual harassment, the perpetrators, victim, and scope of sexual harassment in the workplace, and how to offer the complaint of the sexual harassment when the workers or the company have experiences in this issue. So that's why there is a mechanism in prevention against sexual harassment is like providing the term employment in the company concerning the clear definition and of the different types of sexual harassment. This is what we do. Always we work together with the Better Work Indonesia. Maybe Sally will be explaining our collaboration later on, and the procedure for responding cases of sexual harassment in the workplace, and providing administrative sanction for perpetrator and people who have committed wrong allegation, such as cautionary or warning letter or termination of employment. And employment and worker have an obligation to establish protection and remedy for the victims. And the
Sonia,
rest is, yeah.
excuse me, if we can maybe ask you to conclude. I see
Oh,
we still have four
I
speakers
don't.
to go.
Okay, the time. Okay, maybe I will give you something. Uh, I will give something the rules of the task force, like establishment for task force, because this is very important from this um, regulation. So the labor inspector, to ensure that company building the task force at the company that have a bipartite committee. The task force could be part of the organization structure of the bipartite committee, and in the case company without a bipartite committee, the task force can be set up by the decree of the head of the company. So there is another rules that the rules is to develop and implement programs and activity in accordance with company policies related to prevention and sexual violence in the workplace, receive complaint, recording complaint, compiling information, and providing consideration to the victim and the company regarding further resolution of the complaint of sexual violence and harassment, and providing accompaniment to victim. And the other is how to prevent is we encourage the company to make company policies that include the policy concerning the prevention of violence and harassment at workplace, and including the sanction and collective labor agreement on the company policy in the collective labor agreement, and as an establishment the gender committee, and developing the code of ethics and its enforcement. And
Sonia,
yeah.
can we ask you maybe to conclude? I'm just
Oh,
conscious of time. Sorry.
okay, no problem. So I have already sent you sent reverse the what I call the important to make some to the important thing that to have to establish the task force at the workplace, because there is the role of the company, the roles of the workers, how to prevent and to respond this issue in at the workplace. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sonia. So it was very interesting to hear from your side that, well, we have still many cases of sexual harassment and violence occurring. Cases are still increasing, are not being reported. And well, in this context, you highlighted, know that it's important to protect all individuals, to focus on prevention, but also to put mechanisms in place so that individuals can actually make a complaint and can recover their rights. Um, so now I'm going to turn to our next speaker. Shally from the Better Work program in Indonesia. Better Work, it's a collaboration between the ILO and the International Finance Corporation, and it's a comprehensive global program bringing together all actors of the garment industry to improve working conditions, strengthen respect of labor rights, and boost competitiveness in the apparel and footwear business. And social dialogue lies at the heart of this program. In Indonesia, Better Work has collaborated with social partners, and more specifically to change mindset about sexual harassment. So we've just heard there's still many cases, and there's still a need to raise awareness to change mindsets. And so Better Work Indonesia has been implementing the Respectful Workplace program, as you told us. And so management, as well as workers and union representatives, participated in the Respectful Workplace program, in the training of trainers, and which aimed at increasing awareness and prevent sexual harassment and handling complaints. So Shali, could you tell us a bit more about the training and how the training has helped to raise awareness about the Sexual Harassment Act and the guidelines, so that we just heard about, and how you also have supported factories to establish sexual harassment task forces? And if possible, we would like to ask you to keep your intervention to 6 to 7 minutes, please,
Yeah.
Shali. So the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isabel. Very happy to be here. Distinguished panelists, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our global participants in this Global Deal Site event. I'm very pleased to share with you the Better Work experiences in delivering training of trainers on the Sexual Workplace program as part of our strategy on sexual harassment prevention at the workplace. Allow me to share a few slides. I promise to keep it brief, Isabel. Yeah. So this is the model of the Respectful Workplace program. It starts with getting buy-in from the top management to promote issues on sexual harassment prevention at the workplace. Those who support this issue, we will invite to the training of trainers on Respectful Workplace program, where we require for each factory to send 4 participants per factory. It should be representative from both management and workers or trade unions. It's important because this is not just because it's a program, it's not a one-off training. We are talking about long-term activities. So if we only have management, then it will be top-down. If we only have workers, it will be not very supported by management. So it's important to have the combination of both. After the completion of the TOT, the participants will form the factory respect team, where they will take lead initiatives to spread the awareness, to improve their mechanism, their policy, and so forth. I will show you in detail. Up to now, we have trained 610 training participants with quite balanced gender composition of female and male. This covers 150 factories spread in our region in Indonesia, covering 5 provinces. Now, in light of what Sonia already explained, with the issuance of the Ministry of Manpower Decree, there is a requirement for factory to establish the task force. So from these participating factories, 88% of them transform their respective team into factory task force. This is, we work a lot with the Ministry of Manpower, with Ibu Sonia, to provide training, webinar, clarity on what are the task force mandate, roles, and so forth. The TOT also leads to or resulted in so many factory-led initiatives like training, campaign, grievance, policy, supporting facilities for victims, which we will see in a bit. I just want to show you some of the results in our training session that is crucial in changing the mindset. So this is from one of the sessions in the training where we ask them to identify what is sexual harassment from their experience in the workplace. These are the pictures they gave us. These are from the drawing session. This is the reality in our sector, garment sector, where sexual harassment is still very prevalent. This is from another session, the risk mapping exercise, where we ask them to draw actual layout of a garment factory and rank the risk of sexual harassment. The conclusion of the session is that participants understand that there is no area in the workplace that are free from the risk of sexual harassment. It can happen anywhere, anytime, and anyone can be a potential perpetrators and victims. This is important because it gives them information on what they need to be done, on what they need to do to ensure that they have a safe workplace, prioritizing action plan and measures after the training. Let's see the results. This is from our 4-month post-training survey. We asked the participants, have you done anything differently after the training? These are some encouraging results. You can see the changes in the personal level, but we also asked, have you seen any changes in the workplace after the training? And we have the changes here, but these are due to the factory-led initiatives mobilized by the factory respect team. We see better attitude, more discussion, and so forth. Another impact that we want to show you is this factory-led initiative. It covers almost all areas as best as they can. Training, the factory respect team do training to in all levels, because in the TOT, in addition to the sexual harassment prevention topic, we also provide a session on facilitation technique, so they can have the confidence to replicate the training to their peers. And that's what they do, including training for the bipartite committee. And they do also campaign in various formats, very creative, audio broadcast, video drama, poster, and so forth. But they also work to integrate this awareness into the system in the factory. They review their policy, their standard operational procedure, they review their grievance mechanism, updating their policy with new regulation, with the convention, and so forth, and also other initiatives that gives us impacts in spreading the awareness. These are photos. The above is barcode for online grievance for sexual harassment cases report, some poster, and then we also have exhibition to showcase products that the factory respect team has produced after the training. And last slide, don't worry. These are the key learnings from our experiences as better work in delivering the Respectful Workplace program. Number 1, ensuring involvement of management and workers. It's crucial, along with the support from top management, because then it's gonna be a united front in doing dissemination of awareness or any initiatives to promote this issue. And we learned that when it's a factory-led initiative, it becomes more impactful and more sustainable. Also, drawing from experiences during training instead of lecturing method. Couple this with facilitation technique, it helps to instill awareness that stays even after the training is finished. Because through the drawing and also the mapping exercise, they realize that the risk is around them. It's very related with their lives, with their daily work life. So action needs to be taken to ensure that their workplace is safe. Talking about safe workplace, prevention to sexual harassment should be taken as the right to a safe and dignified workplace. To instill safety, respectful culture should be the aim. Meaning that after the training, some factories see increase in cases and reported to the grievance mechanism, but it doesn't mean that it becomes worse. It means that the awareness is increasing, the awareness of their rights to have a safe and dignified workplace. So to do this, there needs to be an integration into factory management system. So it's not just training and poster. It needs to be part of the factory system mechanism so that everything is within the system and it will make it more sustainable and more acknowledged. Alignment with national regulation, we were very happy with the issuance of the ministerial decree, as Mbak Sonia already explained, because it provides umbrella and leverage for factories to take more concrete action and measures in the workplace prevention. One of the measures is the establishment of the task force. Also, alignment with stakeholders, government, trade union federation, business community. Each of these groups, they have their own initiatives, but by ensuring alignment, showcasing what factory has been done to other stakeholders, allow for collaboration, alignment, and strengthen the initiative further. Lastly, factory task force. This just started last year. We have 88% of our respect team already transformed into factory task force, thanks to the collaboration with the Ministry of Manpower as well in our training. But our learning is that the task force should be part of the social dialogue process. It's not enough that it's just part of the bipartite committee, but it should also part of the process. And it still needs further support from stakeholders. We received so many feedback in our learning workshop from the factory task force on the type of needs, the challenges. So it's let's not leave them behind after they already form the task force. But actually, after they form the task force, they even need stronger support from all parties, all stakeholders. I think that's all. That's all. But I can share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shelly. That was very insightful and very impressive, what you have reached so far. So I note you've had 610 participants from 150 factories and many task forces that now have been established and to address sexual harassment and violence, which, as you say, can happen anywhere at any time. So I see you through the Better Work program, you made a significant contribution to change mindsets and to increase awareness and to better prevent and address cases of sexual harassment and violence, and with in collaboration with social partners. So now I would actually like to turn to one of the social partners, so to the worker side. So we have Intan with us, who is the chairperson of the National Trade Union Federation, SPN in Banten province. And so her trade union federation has actually implemented many activities to protect women workers in the export garment industry in Indonesia. And as an affiliate of Industry All, your federation, Intan, has supported the establishment of safe houses, you told us, and also at the level of the factory you were working in, which is employing 60,000 workers, so a big company. You supported the establishment of a sexual harassment task force, so that we just heard about. And you also took part in the negotiation of a recent collective bargaining agreement. So now it would be great to hear more from your side about developments in your company and how, with the support of your trade union federations, initiatives have been put in place to protect female workers, so including a safe house and a collective bargaining agreement. So the floor is yours, Intan, and as a reminder, please keep it short. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Isabel. Hello, I'm Intan. I'm the chairperson of the National Trade Union Federation in the Banten province, and that was told before that I also work in the one of a company and have a 60,000 workers at the factory, and I have been working at this company since 2007, and I have been involved in the trade union movement for 17 years. So I can say that working in the factory is not only physically and mentally draining, but we have to face various risks such as a health risk, work accident, violence, harassment, and even being ostracized from the society outside of work as well. And Mrs. Sonia already told that we are facing an issues of the occupational health and safety issues by the female workers, especially in the shoes company in the Banten province, such as the occupational disease, because the shoe company use like a continuous and uninterrupted work system, and it's called mini cell system. And when this mini cell system result in each part of the production are being linked to each other, meaning the worker cannot cannot leave their work easily, and it's even difficult to them to just take a drink and or go to the bathroom. And these working conditions also have many symptoms like illness such as dehydration and so on and so on. So, and also the second issue is like a bullying and the verbal violence, because one of the special condition for women is having menstruation every month, but and also the company who employ women workers, and then the company understand that there is a right for the menstrual leave every month. But in fact, and it is a fun fact, is women workers who take the menstrual leave, she will receive like ridicule or a bullying from her colleagues, and or be scolded and yelled by her supervisor. And so that women workers prefer to force themselves to work in conditions that involve pain, discomfort, and less focus, and also the concentration. And the third issue is like a domestic issue, because the patriarchy culture is deeply ingrained in Indonesia society. So the implementation of the gender equality in the household and society is an unfinished task. So it's also the domestic violence relate with the issue like the financial stress and economic violence, because when we talk about the gender-based violence, it's not only the physical violence, verbal violence, psychological violence, and sexual violence, but also it's about the economic violence. So, and Indonesia, the wage determination in Indonesia is still uses the concept of minimum wage, not a living wage. And so, and also, so it can be concluded that the occupational safety and health are also closely related to handling the gender-based violence. And this is what makes labor unions and employees concerned about both of them. And the various issues that I mentioned before also occur in some countries, and this issue can be minimized if there are systematic policies and mechanism to handling the gender-based violence cases in the workplace. Hence, the woman workers protection, or we said it a safe house in the workplace, is can be a solution. But unfortunately, there are only 6 safe house in Indonesia. One in Banten province, but it's located at the Krakatau still, and it's so far from the industry that in Serang Timur and in the East Serang, which is in East Serang is a lot of women workers, but the safe house is located so far away from them. And here's some effort that SPN made to ensure that the implementation of the occupational safety and health regulation to end all form of gender-based violence. First is we appointed 15 companies as the pilot project of the OS and the free zone from the GBV in the workplace, and we established a working team in each company consisting of the woman committee and also the SPN leader. And after that, we create a questionnaire and conduct a survey on the implementation of the OS and GBV cases in the workplace. And this survey is the result of this survey is like a basis negotiating with the management. And after that, we sign an agreement to end of gender-based violence in the workplace, from a monitoring team, and carry out monitoring and evaluation together with the implementation of the agreement and signing the MOU. And it was considered that MOU alone was not binding enough. The negotiation were carried out again to include protection for women workers related to the oaths, anti-GBV, and the maternity rights into the collective bargaining agreement. So, in PT Nikomas Gemilang is one of the company that currently has the most ideal CBA for the protection of the female workers, especially classifying the types of the GBV, the sanction for the GBV violation, and also the negotiation process when we negotiating between SPN and management. It takes a long, very long time, because it's almost 1 year and 4 months until this CBA finally agreed and signed it. And after the CBA was agreed and signed, we feel that the provision of sanction was not the end of the struggle to make the workplace free from all form of the violence and harassment. Then SPN negotiated again with the management for establish of the safe house for women workers in PT Nikomas Gemilang, because we have to that I was said before, we have to go so far to the Krakatau Seal when we want to get, or we want to use the safe house, and we established the safe house in the PT Nikomas Gemilang, because we think that this safe house can be the first destination in case we face the violence and harassment, so that women workers can immediately can get a protection and support, as well as their post-traumatic treatment. And for the time being, the SPN and management have formed the harassment task force, and consisting representative of the management and the SPM leader. And this task force is responsible to have socializing the form and the types of the GBV, the sanction against the act of the GBV, educating the workers and the production manager or the production leader, the impact of the GBV, providing also providing the grievance mechanism to workers who experience the violence and the harassment, and rehabilitating the victim and also the perpetrators of the violence, so that they do not repeat their action again. But we know that our safe house in Nikomas Gemilang still needs many improvements and expansion, such as we have to provision the counselor or the expert in the post-traumatic treatment, and hopes that the Indonesian government also can provide the support and make this Nikomas Gemilang Safe House as the official safe house in Indonesia. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Intan. I think, yeah, that was very important for us to know more about the conditions actually on the ground in the factories. So thank you very much for testifying, and also to learn more about how long it can take to negotiate a CBA, and the importance of the safe houses. And well, I understand there's still a need for more support, no, for more establishing more safe houses and providing further support for women who have suffered abuses. So yeah, thank you very much to you for telling us more about your experiences in the factories on the ground. And now I would like to turn to the employer side. So we have Mira Hanaktani from Indonesian employers, from the Indonesian Employers Association, from APindo. So Apindo has been supporting businesses to better protect workers to prevent sexual harassment. And so you've told us that the focus lies on prevention and not only intervening once the damage has already occurred. And so to provide guidance to businesses, Apindo has developed guidelines for preventing and handling sexual violence and harassment in the workplace for employers. So you've shared a copy with us of these guidelines, and it was very interesting, very detailed guidance is provided for companies. And now I would like to ask you, more to tell us more about the guidelines and what you've been doing to raise awareness about the guidelines and what has happened so far to provide support to implement these guidelines. So over to you, Mira.
Thank you, Isabel. Hope I will be very short but
Yes, please. Looking, I'm conscious
short.
of time. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
I know. So thank you for inviting us to share our work in these issues. So one of Apindo mission is just we have to develop harmonious, dynamic, and productive and fair industrial relation. And we realize that if we want to organize or to establish good harmonious labor relations in the company, that we have to carry out creating a safe and comfortable work environment in various aspects, including ensuring a workplace free from harassment and sexual violence. And for more than 10 years, Apindo has been highly aware of the need for a workplace free from the harassment and sexual violence. And so since 2011, Apindo has had guidelines for management on addressing harassment and sexual violence in the workplace. However, over time, with the development of new values in the society and the emergence of national policies that directly impact the world of work, we must adapt and also act accordingly. The enactment of Law Number 12, 2022 on sexual violence crime has prompted us to review our existing guideline. And additionally, in October 2022, ILO Jakarta office, through the Never OK project, published a research report on harassment and violence in the workplace. The report was titled, Semua Bisa Kena, or Everyone Can Be Affected. Some findings from the survey are quite concerning for us. One of the statements from the survey showed that more than 50% of the respondents mentioned that supervisor or senior colleagues were actually the perpetrators of such disgraceful act. And also, the study highlights a lack of confidence among employees that management will take appropriate action to address this issue. So the report on this says only 10.9% from the respondents that were willing to respond to report the incident of the harassments to the management. Therefore, Apindo immediately took steps to respond to these issues. Our first action was to conduct an in-depth study of Law Number 12 and 22 and review our existing guidelines. After deciding to develop a new guideline that accommodates the provision of the law, we invited ILO to collaborate in its development. And through several focus group discussion involving representatives from our members company, we officially launched the guideline on November with the presence of Minister of Manpower and also the Director ILO of Jakarta. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to being used by the company employees, this guidance also applies to all individuals within the company environment, including outsourced workers, interns, and also courier. Based on the fact revealed in the survey, we believe that prevention measures should be prioritized. The guideline emphasizes that creating a safe and comfortable work environment requires first and foremost the highest level of management commitment. As part of the prevention efforts, the guideline also outlined the need to establish a dedicated special team responsible for this issue. The work of the team should also include to develop a regular training agenda for all employees. Furthermore, the guideline also underlined the importance of the management responsibility at all levels to foster awareness and ensure that an anti-harassment and anti-violence culture becomes a key measure of their performance. But in the case of handling process, we apply the principle of fairness for both the victim and also the perpetrators. Confidentiality, compliance with the procedure, prevention of the recurrence, and also comprehensive resolution. Especially for the victim, the necessary support must be given along the protective measure to prevent any form of retaliation. So after we have this guidance, and also we try to socialize among our members, and also we invite the trainers to talk about the issue. But of course, in implementing this program, we sometimes we have encountered several challenges. One of the main challenges is the subjectivity of involved in the harassment cases, which sometimes leads to doubts about whether a violation has actually occurred. Recognizing this issue, we emphasize to all stakeholders that prevention is the key factor in creating a safe and secure workplaces. Also, it must be acknowledged that social values in society have long fostered a permissive attitude toward behaviors that we now call as categories as harassment. So to approach this issue, education to raise awareness among the workers become absolutely necessary. I thank you, Ms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry. It took me a moment to unmute. Thank you so much, Mira. Yeah, it was very interesting to hear more about the guidelines and especially like the key role that employers play to implement the guidelines to prevent harassment and yeah, and to support better and safer workplaces for women. Now I would like to turn to our last panelist, so Astri Surendari from the Fairwear Foundation in Indonesia. So Fairwear has been operating in Indonesia since 2016. And across factories of fairwear suppliers, we still hear of reports of violence and sexual harassment. And through your activities in Indonesia, you aim to address this situation and to make a contribution to prevent violence and harassment in the workplace. So earlier today, Sonia has told us about the Sexual Harassment Act from 2022. And the gender network platform, which Fairwear has helped establishing, was actually instrumental in bringing the Sexual Harassment Act to life. And in this context, the Gender Network platform organized a series of discussions to discuss the bill before adoption, and several actors have supported implementation since. So Astrid, could I ask you to please tell us more about the Gender Network platform and how it supports dialogue to better protect women workers, and how you're also supporting social dialogue in this context. So over to you, Astrid.
Thank you, Isabel. Yeah, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm excited to share about our work on Gender Network platform in Indonesia. Actually, GNP, we call, is a multi-stakeholder network focusing on issue of gender-based violence. It started in October 2017. And first, Fairwear hold a gender forum event in Vietnam. One of the participants coming from Indonesia. And then after that, we agree that we need to develop this kind of network in order to handling issues about sexual harassment. And the formations was in collaborations with trade unions, such as Gartek Perempuan Mahardika, and also FBLP at the time, National Commission on Violence Against Women, and Ministry of Manpower. This is the history of it. The objective of GNP is actually sharing experience and also mutual support amongst organizations within the GNP related to the issues of gender violence. The activities of GNP mainly on discussion or knowledge sharing, joint lobby, and also some advocacy. Organizations that until now that are actively involved in discussions are from trade unions, such as there's some trade unions partners like Gartek, SPN, also part of it, DSKS, DSI, Sargomusi, and others. And from NGO or labor organizations such as Asia Floor Wage, URC, and others. ILO Better Work is also joined in our discussions. Government institutions such as Ministry of Manpower, Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protections, National Commission on Violence Against Women. Also, business associations such as API and APINDO, academic, journalists, garment factories, brands, and also network of civil society for gender justice or jaringan masyarakat sipil untuk gender berkeadilan. This is actually, but not all come. Also, it depends on the issues that discussed in every session. In GNP discussions, we try to have a balanced perspective from trade unions, NGO, government, and business work on particular issues. That's why, the aim for discussions not we try to build like constructive discussions and how we can do as stakeholders to overcome these issues arise from each discussion, something like that. Other thing in the discussions, one important part is to provide space for women workers to share experience and also express opinions on certain issues. Is also important, I think. And GNP facilitate cooperations among workers, employers, trade unions, and civil society organizations within the GNP to also have joint advocacy to have more fair policies. For instance, like equal payment, safe working conditions, or protections against discrimination or harassment. Yeah, I think in the last 5 years, we discussed several important issues for women workers, such as significance and impact of job creations law to the garment sectors and women workers, and also facilitating serious discussions on implementing regulations of the job creations law. Also discussing about ILO Convention 190 development, how we can push forward this for ratifications of the ILO conventions, and also series of discussions on criminal law on sexual violence and what is the impact of the law to the garment workers. And we also try to include to discuss inputs for the bills. And also try have serious discussions on government regulations on the implementation of criminal law as sexual violence. This is like implementing regulations of the sexual harassment bill, something like that. So government has like implementing regulations in order to make the law live, something like that. And the recent one is discussions about HRDD legislations and the impact of the garment sector in Indonesia. I think that's the main activities that we hold. And I think one of the main results is after the series of discussions, then we develop kind of recommendations and input from labor unions and NGO within the GNPs on the worker issue to the Sexual Harassment Act. And then we also have several discussions with the parliament member for the MPs. And some of the recommendations which already include perspective of the women workers being adapted in the law. Yeah, I believe this is it that I can share with you for time being. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Astrid. Yes, I think it's very important to provide platforms, for various stakeholders to come together to discuss issues, to discuss draft bills, to give recommendations, and to reflect what is happening on the ground, to address challenges on the ground, and to find solutions together that are actually helpful. So thank you very much for telling us about the gender network platform and and the important achievements that have been made so far. So we are already over time. I invite you, if some of you are still able to stay on, we could take maybe some questions from the floor. So my colleagues are telling me we have a few people who raised their hand. I think we have Alfred Zhang who has raised his hand. If you would like to take the floor, we would like to ask you to keep your intervention very short, if you want to ask your question. Otherwise, you're also very welcome to use the Q&A tool, and we will answer your questions there. I see there are already a lot of questions that have been asked and answered. So thank you very much. But I think if we can give the floor to those that have raised their hand. I'm turning to my colleagues.
Yeah, I've given the floor to Alfred. I'm not sure if he still has a question. Perhaps if not, we can move to the next, which was Alan Chen.
Yeah, I think we had several people who raised their hands. So Anna, I let you.
I've given those people with the hands raised the ability to speak.
Okay, perfect.
We have either Alfred Zhang, Alan Chen, and Zishan Aslan. I think had a hand raised.
Okay, if any of these three people would like to take the floor, now is the time. Please introduce yourself briefly and ask your question if you would like to. So I think, yeah, maybe we're a bit late now. So Anna, or do we have other?
Yeah, I think that's the only three that I see with a raised hand. But it was from fairly early on in the discussion. It might be that.
Okay, maybe their questions have been
they
answered.
Could be answered already.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much. So I think we have to come to an end. So thank you so much to all of our speakers for sharing their experiences of what has happened in the past few years in Indonesia to better protect women workers in the garment export industry. So yeah, thank you very much to the Ministry of Manpower, to social partners, so to SPN, to Apindo, and also to Fairwear and the Better Work program. Thank you so much to all of you for sharing your experiences, for giving us so many different insightful insights of what has happened to strengthen due diligence through social dialogue. So yeah, thank you so much and have a good day, everyone. Was a pleasure to discuss with you.
Thank you.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye to everyone.